engine builders.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Insta Gamers Network. And this week's episode is all about engine builders, some of my favorite types of games.
So stay tuned to see what our contributors think is their favorite engine builder.
G'day guys, charmbo.gamer here, and this time round on the Insta Gamers Network we'll be taking a look at our favourite engine building games, and I'd like to show you this one, Deus. It's amazing. Let's check it out. Okay, so the first cool thing about Deus is that it's played on a modular board, so you get plenty of these tiles and they're all reverse sided, so the replayability is absolutely huge. Here's the board configuration for a 2-player game. Here's the board configuration for a 3-player game, and this is the standard configuration for a 4-player game. The game also consists of barbarian villages, which are worth victory points. The number of victory points they're worth depends on how many territories there are around it. In this case, there's 4 territories around it. It's worth 4 victory points. So on your turn, you have 2 choices to make. 1, you can either build a building, which involves playing a card from your hand, or 2, you can choose to make an offering to a god. Making an offering to a god, you choose the card you'd like to make the offering with, and you can discard as many cards as you like after that, which will give you special bonuses. So if I choose to build a building, I just play a building down on the appropriate place on my player mat. I pay its cost. I then get one of the ships, and I can play it on a water tile on the board. And now I get to activate its special feature. And this is where the engine building comes in. Each time you build the same building, it goes on the relevant stack, and then every single time you can start with the first card's activation and work your way up the chain. And if you have a situation where you really don't have many resources left, or you just don't have a hand of cards which you can combo, then you're probably best looking at making an offering to a god. Okay, this turn I've decided that I need more resources, so I'm going to have to make an offering to this god here. For every card I discard, I'll be able to claim a resource of my type. So look at my hand. Okay, the topmost card must match the god that allows that ability, which is in this case is green. So I must have 1 green card, and then I am going to discard another 3 random cards for a total of 4 cards, which means I can now claim 4 resources. Okay, and once that transaction's been made, I can also claim a building, which I'll be able to use later, and I get to replenish back up to 5 cards into my hand again. A barbarian village has been defeated once it is totally surrounded by player units. Whoever has the most military units claims the victory points. During the game you can also build a special type of building called a temple, and there's only a few of these in the game based on number of players. In fact, it determines the end of the game when the last temple is played on the board. And basically a temple is just another way of getting victory points from the combos you've accrued throughout your game as well. The other way the game ends is if all the barbarian tribes on the game board have all been defeated. This also will trigger the end of the game. At that point you just tally up your victory points. Whoever has the most points wins. So anyway, that's Deus in a nutshell. I'm charmbo.gamer, and I'll see you on Instagram.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode with To Die For Games. I'm Mandy, the board gaming pinup girl.
I'm Tracy, the gaming maven.
I'm Stefan, the game's teacher.
So today we're looking at our favorite engine building game, and we decided to go with Keyflower.
Keyflower is a game for 2 to 6 players, plays in 90 to 120 minutes, ages 13 and up. Designed by Sebastian Bleasdale and Richard Brees, and published by Hutch and Friends.
Now, Keyflower is a heavy game, I'm not going to lie, right from the go. It's a heavy game, it's a lot going on. It's only 4 seasons, and in each season you're trying to both bid and use the tiles in the right combination to get yourself the most meeples and the most points by the end of the game by building your village up with the tiles. But you're also trying to be careful because you lose guys depending upon whether you bid for them. And if you successfully bid, then you lose them. But if you keep in your village nice and safe, well, you get them back. So finding that right balance between using your guys productively and sacrificing them, and then trying to get some guys back when you win things.
It's a very variable and flexible game. There's lots of different ways to score points. I did really well in one of our 6-player games where I finished second overall, and I only ever bought or acquired 1 tile at auction, and I just made a lot of gold, and gold makes you points at the end of the game. So I just turned it into a gold generation engine, and somehow I finished second with that's all I did all game long. So, you know, just to give you an idea, there's so many different ways to play this game.
So the first time I played this game, I saw the rulebook and I went, oh my gosh, the writing's like this big. It was like, I don't know, did I make a mistake buying this game? But I really enjoyed it, and it actually wasn't difficult once you understand the mechanics of the game. I did tend to, I'm gonna say, spend my men too freely, so that when it came around the next round, I'm like, I don't have any guys to use. So you gotta really pay attention to those little things in the game, because that can actually make or break your, you know, how far you get in the game. So
It can. And I like the 5th season, 5 seasons in the year. 4th season of the year, which is winter. It's interesting. You have 3, and everyone can put 1 or 2 or all of them if they want. So you know possibly what's coming up. Doesn't guarantee you're going to get those though. So that's not a guaranteed win for your strategy if you know what's going to be going out.
One quick recommendation, it is, the manual, as you said, is a little difficult to digest.
Yeah.
Strongly recommend that you find someone who's played it before to show you how to play the first time through. That will save you lots of headaches.
Absolutely.
And then go from there.
Something else too, make your tiles enticing. Come to my place.
That's
and then
right.
you get people
Use
using
my
their workers. I'm
tiles.
telling you. And
And
you're like,
you
oh, the
know,
workers.
come into your
yeah.
village and
Exactly.
stay.
So that was my way to go, so I can get all the meeples. So I think overall, this is one of our favorite engine building games. You guys have a lot of the expansions. I just have the base game, unfortunately. So looking forward to playing that some more. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Hello everyone, my name's Annette, and you might know me on social media as nettersplays. Well, today we're all talking about our favorite engine building game. To me, an engine building game is a game where you have your own player board or you have your own deck, and you're gaining cards to put into your deck, you're gaining stuff to put onto your player board, and you're using that in order to gain points, to gain abilities, to destroy your opponent in several different ways, or even just to gain resources and such. So you start off small in these games by just generating a couple of things, but the more you build into it, you're eventually going to gather these massive combos and generate a whole bunch of points or resources or whatever. So one of the games that I picked is Russian Railroads. So let me show you what I really like about this game and how it's a great engine builder. So this is all Russian Railroads, and this is the main playing board right here. All the players are going to interact with this location by sending out their little workers. Now these little workers are going to go out and they're going to retrieve some tracks, some engines, some engineers, and so on. And they're going to bring all that stuff back that they've gathered onto their own player board. And they're going to develop an engine here. So this is a major playing board where all the magic is going to happen. The cool thing here is that all the stuff that you're going to be gaining from that major playing board is going to be all these different engines. These engines are going to tell you exactly how far along the track you can build. You can build all these different types of tracks. And at first, you're not developing too much because you have small engines and you have cheap track. But the more and more you develop yourself, the more and more you're going to score, because this scoring system is based upon multiples. So the farther you push ahead and the better you improve your engines, you can get some major points. So not only are you going to score just 5 or maybe even 2 points at the beginning of the game, you'll end up scoring 150 plus points by the end of the game. So what I really liked about Russian Railroads is the fact that this game is not a simple engine building where you're gaining resources and you're using those resources to put into something to gain points. It skips all of that, and all you're doing is you're just creating multipliers. You're creating these additives where it's all just going straight to points. And so in the beginning of the game, you're just getting a few points, but towards the end of the game, you're circling around that board and just generating hundreds of points. And that's something that I really enjoy out of Russian Railroads. It's a great game and you should definitely check it out.
Hello, it's Lindsay here, or as you might know me on Instagram, shinyhappymeeples, and I'm going to be talking about Rococo today. Rococo isn't a classic deck builder, but it is a deck builder nonetheless, and it is wrapped up in a Euro style game. It's a really beautiful game, but it's very challenging. You are making and supplying dresses and decorations for a lavish ball. You can play as journeymen, apprentices and masters. You start with 5 cards, you choose 3 of them to use and you leave the other 2 where they are, and you use these cards to take actions, and most cards have a bonus action that comes with them, such as buy material, make dresses which you can sell for money or you can place in one of the halls. You can pay to have a decoration or pay musicians or have a top spot on the roof for the fireworks display or pay for the fountain, and these are all things that will generate you income and get you your prestige points at the end of the game. Also, you can hire new employees by using one of your masters, and you can only use masters to recruit, and you also have to pay for the employees as well, and they go straight into your hand and they can be used immediately. Once players have all taken their actions, then you have to use what is left in your draw deck. So that could be maybe 1 or 2 cards, and you then choose which ones you want to play next from your unspent pile. In some cases you may be able to choose all 3 cards to use, in some cases maybe 1 or 2, so you have control over what you're purchasing, you have control over what you're using, and then if you kind of really think ahead, then you know what you're going to be doing after that, so that you don't just end up with a bunch of no-hopers left that you don't really want to use. With this deck builder there's no randomness really, it's all pretty much in your control and you can plan. You have to plan because this game is a really tough balancing act of sort of generating your income, keeping up with the other players, getting the best spots on the board, making sure that you're not lagging behind, and just there's just so much to do in it, so many choices. And there's also a jewellery box expansion that you can now buy, which I don't really have time to talk about at the moment, but that adds even more to it, and it's already a game that is quite busy and there's so many choices, and it's a good thing. You never really, that's why it's got a lot of replayability. I think in this game it's a really good idea to pick a strategy at the beginning and kind of stick to it rather than just trying to do a little bit of everything, because that's kind of been my downfall sometimes in this game, because there is so many choices that you can make. Another thing I love about Rococo is that there is a real sense of satisfaction when you're gaining your income, and there's lots of rewards as well, like at the end of the game scoring there's all these bonus points you get, so the scoring phase is always pretty exciting. The downside is there's a couple of fiddly rules here and there, and there's lots of symbols to memorise, so there's checking on the rule book every 5 minutes and things like that when you first start playing. And there is a couple of cards in this game that I really like, usually the ones that get you the money. So that's the basics of Rococo, a beautiful decadent Euro style deck builder. And that's me done for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
So there you have it. Those are everyone's favorite engine building games. So stay tuned for our next episode where we talk about... Okay, you haven't figured it out? Horror games, my favorite. Bye for now.